Okay, we're going to get started here. Welcome to Virtual Kids Create Dinosaurs with the Massillon Public Library. I'm Mrs. Klein. Nice to see you all today. I hope you all came in and got your orange box that you see here. I'm sure you did. And I've kind of unpacked the box, and we're going to be doing some of the experiments today together, but then you have all the equipment to do several of the other ones on your own later. So one of the things about dinosaurs in your book is talking about being a paleontologist. And a paleontologist is someone who studies fossils to learn about life a really, really long time ago. So COSI has given us this box with all these, different activities in it for you to do to learn about ancient history. And maybe you even might want to go to COSI in Columbus and visit their science center. So we're not going to be doing activity one, but it's talking about what happened first and all of the different um, eras in Earth's history. So paleontologists split time into millions of years instead of how we split time on the clock into minutes. So that's all. That's what the first activity is about. But we're going to skip right to the second activity, and you can follow along in your book if you want to. It's called Making a Fossil. So the first thing we need is to get out our two little sponges from our kit and the salt. It's Epsom salt, so you don't eat this. It's not table salt like you would eat. This is salt like you would put in a bath to bathe your feet or, use for a craft, Epsom salts. You're going to need some hot water, and this is my bowl. It's clear so you can see it, but you might have a regular bowl and a plate and some hot water. I think I said that. I've got hot water in a Dr. Seuss mug today, so we're going to do. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is to observe. That's what scientists do. They observe things. So you're going to observe your two sponges, and they're very special sponges because they're dinosaur shaped. So the first thing you want to do is write down, or you can write later and you can just think now, your observations in your booklet about the sponges. So how big are they? Are they the same? Are they different? How do they feel? Do they feel smooth? Do they feel squishy? They're made out of like foam. They're not like a natural sponge that grows in the ocean. These are probably man-made sponges. Are they different from each other? Well, they're pretty similar in shape and size. Well, not shape so much because they're different animals, but in size, they're pretty similar. This one looks like a turtle to me. This one looks like probably an iguanodon dinosaur, I'm thinking. Once you have kind of thought about that, and you can write it now or you can write it later, you're going to just set those aside for a moment. And then with an adult's help, you're going to get your hot water. So I've got my hot water here, and it's pretty hot. So we want to be careful. We want our adult to help us. And we need 1/4 of a cup. So you might have a little measuring cup, or I've got, up to here on my big measuring cup. And I'm going to carefully pour. It doesn't have to be perfect, about 1/4 of a cup. Measured it out. Now I'm going to put it into my bowl. And I'm going to start adding salt. So that's step number 3 here. We're going to be adding salt, a few spoonfuls at a time. So I'm just going to kind of stick some in there, crunch it up a little bit, stir it around, because you want to dissolve all the salt. So my water's pretty hot and stirring it pretty well. I'm just going to kind of pour some more in there because it tells you that you want to use all of the salt. I'm going to have to kind of stir pretty well to get that to dissolve. Okay, stirring, stirring, stirring. And I think that's about as dissolved as mine's going to get. If we wanted it to be perfect, we might use hotter water. Okay, and then you want 1 sponge on the plate that I hope you have from home, and leave the other sponge on your counter or your table. And you're going to take the pipette, and the pipette is this little dropper that came in your kit. So look for that clear plastic dropper. And you're going to learn how to use that. You're going to press the bulb, put it down into your salt solution, and then let it go. So it has filled up. I don't know if you can see because it's kind of clear. It's filled up onto there. And then you want to drip the salt solution onto the sponge on the plate and allow it to soak in. It's not soaking in very well. I'm going to have to kind of go around and do that. Try to get it to soak in a little better. It doesn't really want to cooperate. There it goes. It's a little slow. Okay, then I squeeze it, I let it go, and I get some more. Here, I'll give him some on his head. His foot, his other foot, his tail. See if we can let that soak in. And then we can use the spoon, like it says in number 6, to kind of push it down and try to get it to soak farther down into that sponge. Once the sponge is all wet, you can stop. So this one's going to be all wet, and the one I left on the counter is going to be all dry. So what you want to do, and you probably have a lot of water left over, you can discard or whatever you need to do with that. What you want to do is just leave it out, like it says in number 7, on a sunny windowsill or somewhere, and don't cover it up. Just leave it there until the water evaporates and it becomes dry. And this might even take a few days. So you're going to be waiting a couple days till that happens. And you're going to observe then, what do you notice? Are the two sponges going to be the same or different? And why do you think? What is going to have happened to the sponge that you filled with the salt water? So you can write your observations in your booklet when that happens. And it tells you in your booklet that how this works is one way that fossils form is called permineralization. And sometimes an animal that dies is buried in sand, silt, mud, or ash. And water can carry minerals from the surrounding materials into the tiny spaces called pores into the bones. So that's kind of like what we're doing with the sponge. Over a very long time period, the minerals would crystallize and create a hard cast, kind of like a statue of the bones. The hard casts are the fossils. So in this way, the salt is filling up the spaces inside the sponge because, you know, the sponge is porous. The sponge has holes in it. And it's going to crystallize. The salt will crystallize when the water evaporates. So I'm not going to read you the last line because it's going to tell you what's going to happen to your sponge in the end. But you can observe that for yourself. So I'm going to set that one aside. And we are going to go to activity number 3, make an impression. So we just learned that minerals can fill the pores or the holes in bones, because you wouldn't think that bones have holes, right? I mean, you think bones are really hard, but they do have little holes called pores in them. And so if minerals go in there after they're buried for a long time, they can replace the entire bone. And that's one way that fossils form. And there are other kinds of fossils too. So for example, a mold fossil, it's not something that's moldy and old. It's an impression, a mold made of a plant or an animal's body or a shell. And trace fossils are something else, not fossils of the organism or animal itself, but evidence it was there, like footprints. So this is interesting. I just learned this. Paleontologists call a series of footprints a trackway. So we're going to get out our dinosaur toy. And I had some extra ones here at the library, so I got all of those guys out. Get out your dinosaur toy and your packet of modeling clay. You got some Model Magic. And you're just going to open up your Model Magic. And you're going to roll it into a ball. And so the easiest way to do that is to roll it in between your two hands. Kind of make your hands go in a circle and make a ball. And don't forget, if you miss any of this, we're going to put our recording on our YouTube channel, so you can always watch it again later and follow along. So I made a ball, and I kind of have to look at it and make sure it's really a ball shape. And then I'm going to flatten it with my hand. Squish. All right, now I'm going to decide what kind of imprint I want. I could make a trace fossil, which is the animal's footprints. I could make a trackway, which is several footprints in a row, or I could make a mold fossil, which is pressing the whole side of the animal like it was laying down and it had died and made into a fossil. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so that's going to look pretty cool, I think, but his tail's not going to show. I'm going to push down on his tail. Ooh, I like that. Okay, you know what? I've got enough clay. I'm going to do footprints. So that's a trace fossil. And if I do another set of footprints and another, that's a trackway fossil because it's showing where the animal walked. Okay, and then this is the fun part. Did you mess up? Squish it up. Do it again. You can always redo it. If you want to make a couple separate ones, you can do that too. If you want to make an impression of something else, while we're kind of playing around here, you could make an impression of something else. I'm going to make some circles just because I can. So that's not showing. There we go. So you can really make an impression of anything you want. You can make an impression of your fingerprints. So let's see, I'll do like 3 fingers. I don't know how well you can see that, but I did an impression of 3 of my fingers. So if we look at it and look at your own, I think you can even kind of see fingerprints a little bit, not too much. But this is pretty cool. And then you can always kind of carve your name or carve your initials. My initials are LK. So I'm going to put LK. I made this fossil today. Now, what you can do is let it dry, and you're going to have your very own model of a fossil. And the model magic is just going to dry and just stay there like that. So that's pretty cool. I like this kind of clay. You can also do, some feathers or some leaves, or if you have like a fork, you can do that. I'm gonna redo this one. I'm gonna do my dinosaur skull that I have. It's a toy skull. Ooh, that looks pretty neat because I can see his teeth and see kind of the bones and everything there. So I like how that looks. Oh, I see Callie's. Anybody else want to show us theirs? Very good. All right, and like we said, you can squish it up and try again if you want to. Just if you're going to try again later, I would say you need to put it in some plastic, a plastic bag or a piece of plastic wrap or something, and you can keep it for a while before it would dry out. So if you want to keep using it or use it again, you can keep that by wrapping it up. I don't think it's going to save it too well in there, but I'll put it in there for now. So paleontologists can learn about the body structure of dinosaurs by looking at those impression type fossils, and they can learn about the animal's movements and behavior from the trackway and trace type of fossils. So that's something that helps them learn about what the animal was doing. Now there's also a really neat QR code in your book if you can do that and do the scavenger hunt later. This is such a nice kit that Kosai gave us. It's got so much stuff in it. You can keep on working and playing with this for a long time and do some of the different things. So we're going to go on and move to activity 4, sedimentary rock. And sedimentary rock, there's a picture in your booklet if you look at that. And this is going to talk about animals buried quickly under certain conditions. They could become fossils in sedimentary rock. So we're going to make our own sediment and have a buried dinosaur in there, and then you can try your excavation skills. Now this is going to take you a couple days to let it dry, so we're going to get started here so that you can have it ready for your next adventure when you get to that. So if you want to watch a video of it, you can scan the QR code there, or we can just talk about layers of soil. So in real soil, there are going to be different types of dirt and clay, sand that just occur naturally, and they might come because of weather or a flood or something like that. You know how mud might make a mudslide. So sedimentary rock is in layers, and it started out being wet or kind of damp, and it turned into rock later. So we're going to make our own sediment. We're not going to use real dirt and clay, but we have some of the things in our little packet here. So you need layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3. You need your clear plastic cup, your dinosaur, and your plastic spoon, and then we're going to use the water. So first of all, you're going to take your container with the layer 1 mixture, and you're going to add half a tablespoon of water to it. And then it says you're going to have to estimate. Half a tablespoon is not very much. Now, I do have a tablespoon here, so I'm going to kind of fill it up with my plain water. I'm not using the hot water. I'm going to put about a half, but it says you can estimate, so it's not going to hurt if you get a little bit too much or a little bit too little. So you're going to have to pour that into your layer 1 cup. Get your spoon, and very carefully, so you don't knock all of that out of there, you're going to start stirring. And it's hard, so you just need to keep stirring. Oh, it's getting like cement. And layer 1 was made out of cornstarch and sand. So we are actually using a natural material of sand that really would occur in sedimentary rock. And I'm trying not to flip any of it out onto the counter. Kind of crunching it, because it's hard to get that water mixed in. If we make it too watery, it'll never dry. Kind of crunching and trying to bring up what's at the bottom so it gets wet too. Crunch all the little kind of pebbles that you're making so they all get mixed in, and you don't have, you know, just a ball of sand or a ball of cornstarch. And it takes a while. So it's a good thing everybody's patient. Ooh, I just made a mess. Oh, good, it didn't show you. It's back here. Okay. So now I'm going to pour this into my clear plastic cup. And I can see a little bit I missed, so I'm going to kind of stir that in a little bit. Okay, this is going to represent a beach because of the sand. All right, so we're pretending that this is a beach, and we're going to take our dinosaur. Here, let me make a nice smooth beach. Okay, we're going to pretend our dinosaur has been going along on the beach, and it was really old and it died. So poor dinosaur, he died. He gets kind of buried down in the sand a little bit. And press him down kind of firmly.
Which dinosaur are you using?
I am using the red one.
The one that doesn't look like he had bones. Kind of needs a good one.
Well, I have actually mixed it up now. I'm going to undo it. This is the one I'm using because we had so many toy dinosaurs here at the library. I was like, I can't remember which one came with your kit, actually. So
okay.
I don't think it was that one. Does anybody else have the red one? Oh, you have an orange one?
So it kind of looks like yours.
Yeah, you could use the, I mean, there's this one. Looks like.
This one too.
We had like a million left over from something else.
It was in the kit though.
It was in the kit? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to whoa, mishap. All right. I'm going to redo my beach. Okay. So this is my beach. And it's 80 million years old. And my dinosaur's going along. And whoop, he was really old and he died. Shoop. Sorry, dinosaur. And he got kind of buried there. And now what we want to do is take our layer 2 jar, open that up, and this is cornstarch only, for real. we're going to put 2 tablespoons of water. So if you have your little scoop that came with your kit, you can use that. That's 1 tablespoon, or I have a 1 tablespoon measure from the kitchen. And I'm going to put 2 tablespoons. And again, be careful and stir. Try not to flip it out of there. It feels kind of neat when you stir it. And can you hear that squeaking sound that cornstarch makes? That's kind of neat. It's kind of gluey. Trying to stir it. Oh, it's hard. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to pretend that a mudslide from a mountain nearby buried some of the dinosaur's body. Oh boy. It's hard to do. If you have a real spoon, you might want to use that instead of your plastic one, in case you would break your plastic spoon. Okay, so we're going to try to pour that on. Here comes the mudslide. Plop. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm going to kind of push that down a little. Okay. Now, we're going to take our number 3, cornstarch and sand again. And we're going to put 1 tablespoon of water. And again, be careful and stir that up. And I can feel the sand in there. It's going to be a little bit easier to stir, I think, except the cup's pretty small, so be careful. I'm going to kind of poke it. Boy, my dinosaur's already buried and he's kind of covered. I don't see him. And if you get that all kind of mixed together, then you're going to pretend that a volcano has erupted. And this is the lava from the volcano, and you're going to pour that on top. Here comes the lava. Okay, now I'm going to kind of pat it down. Now, it takes time for fossils to form, so you're going to let some time pass for your fossil, and you're going to have to put it somewhere where nobody will disturb it or knock it over, and you're going to want to wait until it gets hard. So once this gets hard, like really hard, like not like it is now, but in a couple days probably, you're going to go ahead and do what's in your booklet. Part 2, excavate. So excavating is what archaeologists and paleontologists do to dig up the fossils and the dinosaur bones. And you might have to have a grown-up help you cut away the cup. And then you're going to look at the sides of your sediment. And I don't know, mine doesn't look real different, but I can kind of see some different layers. The first layer, that second layer that was more gluey, and the third layer. And then you're going to want to pick it apart until your dinosaur shows. So follow the instructions in your booklet and wait till your dinosaur shows. And then you're going to want to take him out, see if he left an imprint. And what happens if you erode some of the rock later? You know what erosion is? When water comes and takes away rock over a period of time. Maybe some of your rock will erode if you put water on it. You can also use a little brush, like an old toothbrush. Please don't use your little brother's toothbrush to clean off the dinosaur. And real paleontologists do use little brushes to clean off the fossils. And so that's how that works. So lots of activities to do in your kit. And those are just a couple of them that we had time for today. But I hope you have time to go through your booklet and do all of the activities in there. And I hope you have fun excavating your dinosaur in a couple days. Don't forget to sign up for next month's Virtual Kids Create and come to our other programs here at the Massillon Public Library. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Does anybody have any questions? Otherwise, we'll say goodbye.